Entitled Karen sues my parents for $1 million. This tale harkens back to the early to mid-90s, the greatest decade, spanning 2 years or so. I was 6 to 8, so details aren't fully known, but the story gets told by my parents every so often. When I was 6, we were in my dad's car coming home from work and daycare. My brother was 10 and a half. We were in the back seat of a 2-door Mazda, and we were fighting in the back seat while my dad was stopped at a red light. He turned around to swat both of us, again, early 90s, to make us stop. His foot slipped off the brake and we rolled forward into the car in front of us. My dad says my brother asked if we hit something. Both cars pulled off in the shopping center and this lady goes into full-on hysterics in her car, demanding an ambulance, and when the paramedics arrived, insisted that she needed a neck brace and a backboard. My dad saw the writing on the wall and stayed behind to make sure the police got his full-on side of the story then. And then the first thing that he did after telling my mom was to call the insurance company to tell them what happened. They had people out the next day to take pictures of the car and take my dad's statement. Sure enough, not long later comes the lawsuit. $1 million for crippling this woman for life. Thus began around a 2-year-long battle with lawyers over that stupid fender bender. I know it took a long time, that my dad often ranted about how she rejected the first settlement offer, $30,000, and then later the second offer, $50,000, because she was a greedy lying bee and wanted the full court hearing. By the time we got to court, my parents had separated, but since they were married at the time, they were both on the hook for the money if they lost. I was too young to go to the hearing, and I was promised that it would be long and boring anyway, so I had to stay at daycare. My brother got to go though. It was long and boring, right up until Karen herself got up on the witness stand to give her version of the wreck. First off, she used a walker and wore a neck brace to get to the stand, and then, to sum it up, she was innocently waiting at the red light when she checked her rearview mirror and saw a great big white truck barreling towards her, and she just knew there was no way it would stop in time, so all she could do was brace for impact and pray. My parents perked up at that, as did their lawyers. They got out a set of pictures of a blue 2-door Mazda and showed them to the woman and asked if she recognized the car in the photographs. She said no. The lawyers showed the photographs to the judge and the jury and explained that this was the car that struck Karen, pictures taken within 24 hours of the accident. To hear my parents, the jury did a spit take, but these were 2 adults who were gloating, so take it with a grain of salt. When the dust settled, not only did Karen not get her $1 million, but she ended up having to pay the attorney fees, lost wages, and daycare costs incurred as a result of the lawsuit. And that was how we got a free trip to Disney. Holy cow, $1 million in the 90s is about $2.3 million today. How you gonna think you get that, Karen? Like, do these people not think that there are cameras? People actually keep track of this stuff. Insurance investigates. I just don't get it. Like, can someone please explain to me? Please help me understand this. Good grief. Our next stories are all about Karens getting destroyed by the managers. Lily Loudcat says, the staff didn't know it at the time, but our ketchup dispenser was empty. A boy, aged 10ish, was just smashing down on the handle trying to get ketchup, but none was being dispensed. A staff member noticed the kid smashing this ketchup dispenser, so I went out to see what was going on. Oh, the ketchup is empty. I'll get a new bag from the kitchen. Give me 2 minutes and I'll be right back with some new ketchup. I remove the empty container, take it back to the kitchen, clean the dispenser and place in the new bag. Take it out to the condiment stand and get met by a Karen. She said, "Why did you take the ketchup away from my son?" Well, the ketchup was empty, so I replaced the bag. "Why did you take the ketchup away? Go get your manager." Okay, 1 minute. I walk about 2 meters, turn around, and introduce myself as the manager. "Why did you take the ketchup away from my son?" "Ma'am, please lower your voice. The ketchup was empty. I explained to your son that I needed to take it back to the kitchen to refill it." "No, you didn't. I was standing here the whole time. You took the ketchup away from my son." "Ma'am, please lower your voice. You were not with your son. He was here alone, trying to get ketchup, which was empty." "Don't you tell me what to do. Do you know who you're dealing with?" "Nope. Ma'am, please get your belongings and leave this establishment." She's screaming and yelling, saying, "I will not leave this establishment. I'm going to burn this place down." Other patrons are visibly upset with what they're witnessing. Police are called. Karen gives a statement. Police question me, and I give a statement. Karen told the police that I struck her son, pushed him out of the way, and moved the ketchup to an area in which her son couldn't get access to the ketchup. I disputed the claim and offered to provide video evidence with sound of what actually happened. Police watch the video once, thank me, and walk out to the eating area. Officer says, ma'am, does your son have someone who can look after him? His father's at work right now. Okay, you're being placed under arrest for making threats and a false police report. More yelling, threats, and now tears. In the end, she was charged with making the false police report, but not the threats, and received a lifetime ban from not just our restaurant, but the entire mall our restaurant was located in. I felt kind of bad. I mean, not for the Karen, but for her son. He has to live with that. Way to stand up in the face of the Karen and stand your ground. Way to go for you and your restaurant both. Lifetime ban. Got him. Legion of Dorks says, not a manager, but eating at a cheap, greasy spoon kind of diner that has been around since the 50s. All the meat is frozen and pretty much nothing but the coffee and eggs are made fresh. You know where you're getting when you come to this place. A couple comes in with their 2 young boys. I'd estimate about 6 or 7 for either. Mom makes a minor scene about not wanting a booth, wanting a table. There's an entire wall of booths and multiple tables, but she specifically wants the one in the middle of the room that needs to be bussed since the people that were using it just left. She makes a minor scene about having to wait for the one busboy handling the entire front of house to come take care of it when the manager went and got him to take care of it immediately. At this point, I'm not paying too much attention, but they're sitting literally right next to us. They order appetizers, steak, shakes for the kids, and so on. Their waitress is handling several other tables at the same time, like a third of the floor, and serves some coffee and sliced pie to an elderly couple that came in after the family. Karen throws an absolute hissing crap fit because we were here first. How come they're getting their orders first? Manager comes back out and explains in the most placid tones possible that multiple fried goods and a steak take time to cook, but hot coffee is available all day and sliced pie is in a display up front, so there's no prep time. Karen calms down, but fumes. She doesn't allow the boys to get their food, the buffet option, until her and Dad's food comes to the table. Once the adult food arrives, Karen just starts tucking in. Both boys are just tall enough to see over the edge of the buffet, but not nearly enough to reach the tongs or reasonably serve themselves. A waitress from another section sees them struggling and comes over to help, asking what they want on their plates. Karen flies to her feet and makes a big scene at this time about, "How dare you tell my kids what they can and cannot eat? Who do you think you are handling their food?" Cue manager coming out again, following demands to complain directly. Waitress is an older woman, we're talking white hair, and is nearly in tears thinking that she has done something terrible. Manager asked her to go chill in the back a bit while she smooths things over with Karen. Karen demands balloons, and they had them as a special child birthday thing for the kids. They get balloons, and Karen calms down. Husband and the kids are pretty quiet. Kids seem visibly embarrassed. Husband is acting like, well, this is pretty normal. Husband's steak comes out last. He's unenthusiastic about it, and Karen calls to the manager for a 4th time to chew her out over the steak being overdone and dry and blah blah blah. They send it back and demand another, then a 3rd. Let me reiterate, this is a place you like for, greasy burgers and fries, fish and chips, and so on. Steak is on the menu, but realistic expectations and reason means you're not expecting high quality. You're getting what you pay for. Manager just kept calm and kept apologizing for their suboptimal experience, but beyond filling minor low-cost demands, such as the balloons, they didn't offer up much. When Karen basically shouted that they would never be coming back, the manager was just like, "Sorry to hear that, have a nice night." Absolutely pro at gray rocking. This Karen sounds like the one to go to the grocery store, buy a pack of Skittles for $1, and demand organic Skittles. They don't even make them, but she wants them and she's going to get them because she's Karen, and that's just what's going to happen. No, it doesn't work like that. But if they do make organic Skittles, you can go buy one at some other store. You also, as they say, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Later, Karen. My achievement says, I work at a vacuum repair shop. People don't pay attention to their vacuum cleaners as much as you'd think. I can't tell you how many times someone comes to pick up their vacuum and says, "Oh, this one isn't mine," or "Mine didn't have scratches down the side." I can tell you it is, and it came in with all those scratches on the side. After the first 2 times it happened to me, we started taking pictures of the unit with serial numbers and customer info, send them home with the serial number, and require them to bring it back for pickup. Despite the evidence, I've had a lady close to tears because we didn't have her vacuum. Even with the pictures we had of it at drop-off, her information, and the matching serial numbers. Sure, it's a big conspiracy. We just love taking in vacuums and switching all the information around because it's fun. People need to pay more attention. Oh, Karen, numbers don't lie and neither does the data, but apparently you do. And by the way, how's a Karen like a vacuum cleaner? They both suck. Baked potato with cheese, please, says, not a manager, but I used to work part-time at a bakery inside of a grocery store. I dealt with my fair share of Karens during this time. Just to paint this picture of how it would work, we had a binder with laminated copies of about 100 different designs that the decorators did regularly. A customer would look through the book, pick a design that they wanted, and then fill me in on the details of when they wanted it by, what size, what flavor, if any color changes were necessary, and so on. Our decorators would come in at 7 a.m. and stay for however long it took to complete the orders. So usually, they were gone by early to mid-afternoon. The bakery closed, along with the store, at 9 p.m. One day, maybe around 8:15 or 8:20, a woman comes in and says she needs a cake. I figure she's referring to the cake sitting in our cooler, which we keep at the ready in case anybody just wants something quick and simple. So I motion to the cooler and ask her if she sees anything she likes. Apparently I'm a gosh darn brilliant comedian because she starts laughing and goes, "Oh no, sweetie, I need a wedding cake." Alright, no big deal. I grab an order form and take down her information and then ask what day she needs it for. Tonight. Mind you, the store was closing in 40 minutes, so even if I could decorate a cake, I wouldn't be able to help her. I tell her that there's no decorators present at the moment, but I can make sure it was ready for her first thing the next morning. She's clearly upset by this, but says that'd be fine. I continue taking her order and ask her what size she'd like. Our bakery was not an upscale joint, and our prices reflect that. Just about everything comes in frozen. So, for our cakes, they come in a variety of predetermined sizes. She pulls out her phone and thrusts it in my face, saying, "Whatever that is." On the screen is a very beautiful cake, smooth white frosting, 7 to 8 tiers, decorations made in fondant and blown sugar. Before I even continue taking the order and dash her hopes, when she sees the finished product, I tell her that just wouldn't be possible. I didn't mean to offend our decorators, but I told her the truth. Most of them were exceptionally gifted home bakers who didn't have formal training in terms of a culinary program or decorating school. I then politely refer her to a more upscale bakery that I knew of that's more equipped to help her than we were. Then the dreaded 6 words came. "Can I speak to your manager?" At this point in time, I had been working at that bakery for a little over a year, so I was capable enough to close the department on my own. As such, I was the only one there. I told her this, but offered to leave a note with the customer's name and number so my manager could call her tomorrow. "Fine then, let me talk to a store manager." There were anywhere between 1 and 3 store managers who oversaw the entire grocery store and all its departments on staff at night. So I go to our phone and page a store manager over to the bakery department. The whole time we're waiting, she's staring daggers into me. A manager I was fairly friendly with came to the counter in a few minutes and asked what the problem was. I briefed her before she went to talk to the customer. The second we get over there, the customer starts spewing lies about me, how I was rude and refusing to help her. I tried to defend myself, but the manager just told me to keep doing my closing work out back. 10 minutes later, she comes back, shaking her head and rubbing her temples. That which was crazy. Customer service industry is a blast. Holy crap, Karen. I don't go to a restaurant and demand the cow. I go for the piece of steak that I get, not the whole dang thing the day of. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but dang it, Karen, you're crazy, okay? You're crazy. Deleted says, I'm not in retail anymore, but I was managing a popular mid-range handbag store. Think typical Karen bag, around $200 to $400. Anyway, most customers were fantastic. This one woman was this Shrek-looking, large, red-headed lady who stomped in and demanded that we repair her 20-year-old bag for free. And if we couldn't do that, she demanded that we exchange this ratty, smelly 20-year-old bag for a brand new one for her. Recently, policy changes had resulted in new prices for this service, but free repairs had about a 1-year warranty on a new bag, not a 20-year-old one. I tell her as such. I was pretty young to have had the role I did, so she, dissatisfied with my answer, asked to speak to a manager. I told her, well, I'm the manager, and she began turning as red as her hair. She screamed and yelled about how she'll call corporate and never shop here again. Well, that sounds like a real loss, losing a customer that's too cheap to repair a 20-year-old bag and hasn't bought new from us in just as long. I give her my best crap-eating grin and say, oh, I'm so sorry, that's just the policy. She demands corporate's number. I give her the customer service line that you can find on Google, unbeknownst to her. She huffs away, forgetting her keys on the counter. She's halfway out, and she remembers, turns around, red as a beet, huffs in my smiling face, and snatches the keys off the counter. It was hilarious. She came back months later, worked with a different person on the team, and didn't even look my way. This is a bit of malicious compliance, trying to get a 20-year-old, I can't bring a 20-year-old item into a store and say, hey, give me a brand new one, 20-year-old cheeseburger, replace it with the brand new. No, it just doesn't work that way. Sorry, Karen, you suck here. Deleted says, I was the only person on shift, which made me the de facto manager. 5 minutes before closing, a woman comes in and is so angry that we don't have any decaf. She demands to speak to the manager. I tell her, well, that's me because I'm the only one here, and the coffee pots are cleaned for the night because it's 5 minutes to close. No, I'm sorry, I can't make another pot just for her. There's another place around the corner. She screams at me, tells me she's going to find a real manager and get my slur fired, throws half a cup of cappuccino machine sludge at me, and starts to look like she's going to jump the counter. I'm holding a hammer under the counter, thinking, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I pick up the phone like I'm going to call the cops. She leaves, and I lock the door. She comes back in and runs face first into the glass door like a bird. Hey, look, an old crow like Karen flying face first, just right into the door. I can picture that, and it's so fitting for a nature documentary or something. I don't know, Karen. Don't break the glass. Get out the way the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. I don't know. She needs to go fly south for the winter or something. Don't break the glass, show some class, or you're going to get kicked right in the butt. Bye, Karen. Whoa Mom 8 post happened before I became a manager, but once, while I was serving at Steak and Shake, customer had a coupon for a burger, fries, and a shake for some money. I can't remember the price anymore. Anyway, on the coupon, it specifically stated that the cheese on the burger was 39-cent upcharge, although it did have a picture of a burger with cheese on it. Lady threw a fit in the dining room that I was treating her unfairly. It was false advertising and blah, blah, blah. Well, I told her that it's false advertising with the picture, but the text specifically states the upcharge, and unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. The lady at the next table over heard everything and literally got up and put 50 cents on the table to cover it and said something to the effect of, I'll pay for your dang cheese if you just shut up. This ticked the cheese lady off even more. My manager obviously sensed the issue and came out and took the cheese upcharge off the bill. Like, what the heck, Karen? Ah, Karen, much like this dad joke, you're very cheesy. Gray Carol says, bestest of the best interactions I ever had. Karen griped about not wanting to pay the price for the services performed on her computer, which was exactly the price quoted when she dropped it off and what she had signed for. She demanded to speak to the service manager. I called him from the back. Service manager listened to her spiel as to how she should get a lower price because some irrelevant pea-brained reason. Service manager made eye contact with me over her shoulder. I did not react. He said no, price quoted was the price that would be charged. She said that was unacceptable and she would be complaining to the owner, who was a good friend. Service manager observed that he was evidently not that good a friend, since that he, or me, was the person she was originally speaking with when she asked for the service manager. Her face was glorious and made the whole thing worthwhile. This has huge vibes of, can I speak to the manager? Oh, you're speaking with him. Boom, way to go, OP. Karen neighbor builds on my property and demands that I stay off. Click the video on your screen, you don't want to miss this one, and I'll see you there.